We're on? Amazing. Okay, guys, 8 o'clock. What's the date? 27th of August. Welcome. I see a few participants. It's not going to be very rich in terms of numbers of participants tonight. Nevertheless, we're on YouTube, we're on Zoom, we're on Instagram, we're on Facebook. Welcome, everybody. My name is Erik. I'm your host tonight, and we're going to be doing a webinar essentially on communication, how to be more assertive and how to say no. So, Anita, I see that you're back. It's nice to have you here again. Great, actually, to have you here again. I also see that Nicolene is here. Fantastic, Nicolene. Welcome again. Lovely to have you. And I see Darian. Darian, I don't think we know each other yet. Let me just introduce myself very quickly. My name is Erik Smit, SMIT, not with an H. I'm actually Dutch. I'm from Holland. You might tell already by my accent, knowing that, hey, he's not English, he's not American, he's not Irish. So yeah, that's my background. I'm 56 years old. Came to Ireland about 2 years ago. And one of my passions is basically doing webinars, seminars, passing on knowledge. I like to pass on the very stuff that helped me, and I simply love to pass it on to others. And if others are very happy with that knowledge, I'm also happy. Yeah, that's a bit my my take on it. So Darren, once again, nice to have you. Normally, what I always do at the beginning of the webinar, I ask everybody to do a little introduction of themselves with 2 questions. Why are you here? For what particular reason did you come to this webinar? In other words, maybe there's something that you want to solve, maybe there's something that you want to improve, and also maybe you want to let us know where you're from. Now, like I just said, I'm Erik. I'm from the Netherlands. Nicolene, she comes quite often. She's also from the Netherlands. Then we have Corey here. Welcome. Is this the first time? It's nice to see you here on the webinar. So maybe you want to share with us where you guys are from and why you're here tonight. Okay. Okay, Corey. I want to improve to say no. Good. Well, that's fantastic. That is fantastic. Definitely being a yes man, like we say in the English language. A yes man is basically a person who always says yes, right? Who can't say no. So yeah, it's definitely good to improve that. Great. And you're from Germany. Also, du sprichst Deutsch. Sehr gut. Ich bin Holländer. Also wir verstehen einander. Yeah. I grew up very close to the German border. Been quite often to Germany. Love the country. Still love to speak German as well. So that is super cool. Anita is from the UK. She says, I needed to learn how to say, or I need to learn how to say no without feeling guilty. Okay, Anita, that's great. Thank you for your answer. Let's see what we can do about that tonight. There's a few more people I see right now. Edith Cahill, thank you for being here. That is great. Let me see, who else do we have? All right, cool guys. Well, let's just get started. So, as you can imagine, being assertive, learning to say no, that has a lot to do with communication. We may have had some communication skills in school, or some teachings perhaps, but tonight I want to do a little bit of a deeper dive into the subject of communication. So Darian says, I need to be more assertive, but often I'm not sure what I want, which makes it difficult to be assertive. Yeah, makes sense, Darian. So sometimes you see something that you want to do in life, and then your mind puts it out there. So now that we have an idea where we want to go, and there's like a counter idea, and it doesn't flow anymore, it kind of like sticks in the middle, and we can't really take a decision. That's when the mind puts a counter thought opposed to another thought, right? And here we get a doubt. When both are strong enough, we'll just remain in doubt. So that is definitely something to fix. So I hope the tools that I will be able to give you tonight will help you with that. Now, first of all, we're going to have a look at the word communication itself. So that word communication, it actually comes from Latin communicationem. And that is a word that goes back to roughly the year 1300, when it actually started to appear in books. Now, you see another part here, commune, just like a community center or the communality, and that has to do with the word common. And the word common is actually something that means belonging to all. All right, now, how does that apply to communication? Well, very simple. We're actually trying to get ideas across that would then belong to both of us, or that would then belong to all of us. So we're going to actually have a look at that, how that works. All right. I just wanted to give you that as an interesting start, perhaps, for tonight. I always like to go back to the root cause and the roots of the words itself. It's fascinating when you look up etymology, the root origins of words, and you actually can learn quite a lot of it. All right. So I'm just going to put 3 words on the board. Good. So 3 words: start, continue, and end or stop. And what do I mean by that? I actually have a question for you. Yeah, an introductory question. Now, do you sometimes have difficulties, just difficulties to start a conversation with somebody? Or do you find it sometimes difficult to continue a conversation with somebody? Just keep it going, especially when a person is, for example, very shy and kind of silent. You got to pull all the words out of a person's mouth. Do you feel you're running into that? Or do you feel that you sometimes perhaps are overwhelmed by the person who is in front of you, completely overrules the conversation, and you don't really know how to end it off? So just that question for you. Maybe you can answer in the chat by answering 1, 2, 3, all of them, or maybe some of them. But I would like to know from you, just as an introductory question, do you find it difficult sometimes to start a conversation, or to keep the conversation going, to continue it? Or do you find it difficult sometimes to end it off? Good. Okay, Anita, so number 1, you're fine with starting. In other words, continuing or ending off, I suppose that is a bit more difficult then, Anita? Corey, you said, okay, more difficulties to continue it or to end it. Anybody else? Oh, we got Michael Sheridan here. That is cool. Can you let him in, Dita? Yeah. Okay, Darian, sometimes difficult to continue. Good. Okay, guys. Well, let's see where we are going to go with this. I'm just going to give you a concept now. So let's say we have Joe here. And we got Bill here. So Joe has an idea. And he's trying to get that idea across to Bill. Good. So, ideally, Bill makes a 100% copy of whatever Joe just emanated. So Joe came up with an origination, and he said blah de blah, and he emanated that thought in the direction of Bill, and hopefully Bill made a 100% copy. Now, that would be duplication, so you get the exact same here as you're getting there. Now, what would happen if we are not getting what happens if we don't get a 100% copy? Bill gets something different. He doesn't copy it in full. What is going to happen here? What do you guys think? Okay, Anita, I'm just going to read your reply. 2, continuing is difficult because others butt in. Okay, you can end off. That's good. Brilliant. Darian, okay, we're going to have misunderstandings. Good. Thank you, Darian. Anybody else? What is going to happen if we don't get a 100% copy? What do you guys think could happen? Could something happen emotionally to an individual? Could something happen physically to an individual? Okay, Edith, not a good flow. Brilliant, thank you very much. Darian, upset. Okay. All right, so something could happen emotionally, right? Corey can't get a right answer. All right, I need that poor communication, frustrated because you don't have the full understanding. Yeah, all right. So, in other words, what are we trying to get across with communication is understanding. Bottom line, if we're frustrated, if we're upset, if we are, whatever emotion, let's call it a mis-emotion, which is an emotion you don't want to have, it is simply, you can't get that idea across. There's no understanding. It's very upsetting. So the first thing we're trying to achieve in any communication at all is to reach understanding. You can only get that if you have a 100% copy back and forth all the time. Now, so maybe in the past you had something about communication in school. I did for sure, and I was taught this idea about noise. And this was a concept that came out of psychology, which was there was something there between two people, and that noise seemed to be distorting that the messages would actually really come across, and it would actually prevent the misunderstanding. Now, maybe you have gotten the same ideas in your classes, but the funny thing is that when you look at it, when you analyze it, you say, gosh, there is something wrong with that whole concept of noise. Because I'm sure you've seen people in a disco, or you've seen people in very, very loud environments, such as bars or pubs, where there's a lot of noise, but you would still be able to get that communication going with full duplication and mutual understanding. So in other words, that whole theory of noise does not really mention or point out what is truly the cause of poor communication. Okay, so let's wipe something out and see what is happening. So let's say you want to get something across to another person. You simply want to get something across. That means that you, at that very moment, you are actually cause. Let's see if black works. So cause would actually be the source point. You could also say the point of emanation. Cause simply means to make something happen. You're making something happen when you are cause. So cause is the source point, is the point of origin. Now, when you are getting that communication across, and Bill receives it, then Bill could be called effect. Because it's like something is happening to Bill. He's receiving a communication. Whether that is a ball, whether it's an object that's being thrown to him, or an idea, or words, he is the effect, he is the receipt point. Okay, now, I have a question for you again. Have you ever felt a bit shaky, a bit nervous, whilst talking to a certain person? Maybe when you had to do, kind of like a challenging talk with somebody, a difficult topic, or perhaps a job interview. Have you ever been in a position where you felt a bit shaky, a bit nervous? Of course. Okay. All right, Corey, job interview. Anita, job interview. Yes. Good. Thank you, guys. Well, I guess all of us have, right? All of us have. Well, that means you were not really cause at that moment. So let's go a little bit deeper, deeper into it. Because let me see what I have on the next page. Yeah. I'm going to wipe out something. So what could happen is that, let's say you go to a dentist or a doctor. You're nervous, right? Now, where is your mind? Where's your mind? Well, your mind makes pictures. So if I say primary school, you get a picture. If I say, think about a pet that you owned at some point, you get a picture of the pet. And you can imagine seeing that dog or that cat or that hamster or that goldfish or whatever again. Right? These are pictures that your mind. Now let's say you're going to a doctor, a dentist. You have an appointment in 2 hours from now, maybe an hour. It's very well possible that you already start to imagine what could happen when you get there. So when that happens, you're actually looking into your mind. And your mind is then causing you stress. Well, if that happens, then you are not really at cause, because some other force takes over that prevents you from being you, that prevents you from being yourself. That makes sense, right? When you're stressed, you would say, I wasn't myself. That's what people would say. I wasn't myself. Something else controlled you. That means you're no longer truly cause. You're no longer truly the point of emanation, bringing forth, because that is bringing something else forth. Now, good. Now, what do we mean by truly being cause? And let me point it out. By truly being cause, you have to be able to be in the same space as the other individual comfortably. You have to be able to be in the same space and comfortably. In other words, you could say that equals comfortably being there. Now, it's very interesting. Being there. By being there, we mean being here, not being here. So when you do that job interview, or when you have to have that difficult talk, you can't be in your mind. You have to be comfortably in the same space as the other individual that you're talking to. So that would be without any strain, without any nervousness. Because the strain and the nervousness and all these things actually comes again from your mind. Good. Now, right away, I'll give you a question again. Have you ever felt that you couldn't be in the same space comfortably with the other person? Have you ever felt that you couldn't be in the same space comfortably with the other person? Okay, Corey, jump in the views. Thank you very much. And a yes, and a Darian, yes. Okay, guys. So, thank you. I'm no exception. I also have had lots of that trouble. Now, the good thing is something could definitely be done about it. That is the great news. Something can definitely be done about it. All you need to do, let's see if I can get a different color. My colors are gone. All you have to do is basically some drills to limit the negative power that is in your mind, so that you actually rise up and become stronger. Now, at the end of the webinar, I'm going to offer you guys a very, very simple booklet, and it's called Communication. And actually, in the booklet, you will find all kinds of drills that you can do to raise that to actually expand on that comfort zone and make it bigger. So that in any given situation, whether a person is pissed off with you, upset with you, ranting at you, or it's simply, let's say, a person that you have never met before, that in either of these conditions, you could comfortably be there. So, comfortably being there, that would be the very first requirement. So number one, first requirement, comfortably being there. No strain, no nervousness. Be and there. It's fascinating stuff. To be means you are in a specific condition. It's a condition of existence. Existence where? Existence here, not existence in the mind. And once again, where? Well, there, being there. That is the very, very first requirement for any communication to occur. Good. So I could also ask you, have you ever felt comfortable? Let me see, what was that? Yeah, have you ever felt that you couldn't be in the same space? Well, that is the same thing. Not being able to be in the same space is that you simply are not there. So that's the first requirement. Just simply be there. If you can do that, there is a second requirement. The second requirement is to look. And I'm going to elaborate on that looking a little bit. Now, once again, a question. Maybe in, I don't know, maybe primary school, secondary school, you have seen people doing like a staring contest. Looking another person in the eye, and then keeping a stopwatch, and then see for how much time they could actually do that. Without grinning, without smiling, without bursting out and laughing, without moving their bodies, their positions. And so my question is, have you ever seen that? Have you ever seen that staring contest? Now, if you're watching, for example, the MMA or boxing, stare down, these kind of things, then you actually see the fighters looking each other in the eyes for a certain amount of time. Have you ever seen that? Edith, okay, yes, because I could be frustrated. So Edith, are you trying to tell me that, are you trying to tell us that you have done the drill yourself, the staring contest, or isn't it that? Anita says, yes. Michael, yes. Okay, good. And I see somebody in the camera. Is that Eilish? Yay! Okay, good. Now, so if you are actually, if you have seen that staring contest, that is simply looking another person in the eyes. That's all that is needed. Now, why would you do that? Why would you actually keep close attention and look at a person's eyes? Well, why do we do that? Because in some cultures, like Asia, for example, it might be considered to be a bit insulting if you would do that. right? Okay, so here's a question. You have probably experienced that. Maybe you have talked, or you have spoken to a person, or you had a conversation with somebody, and the person wasn't looking at you. While he was talking to you, he was talking to you like this, and he was just saying things, and he was looking around, and he sometimes would make a little eye contact and then look into another direction again. How did that make you feel? Just pop it in the chat. You've probably seen that in people doing that. How did that make you feel? Okay, Michael, yeah, used to do this as a game to see how long you could keep a straight face. The longest. Awkward? Yeah. It's a bit awkward, right? If a person is just like this talking to you. It's a bit strange. Uncomfortable. Are they listening to me? Or they could feel embarrassed. Okay? Well, Anita, is that you with the camera on? Can you give me a thumbs up? All right. Beautiful. Good to see you. Well, you know right away when that person is not looking at you, you know right away that person wasn't really there. Are we in agreement? He was not comfortably there in the same space with you. He couldn't be there comfortably. There was something going on in his mind as well. And he wasn't really at cause. Does that make sense? So when that happens, yeah, they could just be a little bit shy too. Well, when you're shy is basically very, very close to fear, being in fear, right? So then we get a whole lot of unwanted conditions, you could say. I guess people rather not be shy. Yeah. Anyway, now here's an interesting fact. So I just put there to look. Okay. So let's say we are in a conversation. Let's say I'm Joe and you are Bill, right? And we are in front of each other and we're talking to one another. And while we are talking, I am actually looking at my watch. I'm just making some remarks, but I'm looking at my watch. So, what is going to happen? When I look at my watch, where is your attention going to go? So once again, we're having this conversation, but I'm looking at my watch, or perhaps I'm looking at my smartphone while we're having the talk. Where does your attention go then? Where would it go? Well, it would probably go to where I was looking. In other words, when I don't look at you, but I look at my watch instead, you would probably follow that and then follow what I was looking at, right? I have something going on, Dita, on the Zoom workplace. It says it's connecting. Anyway, so guys, just a technical thing. So let me give you another example of that. With looking, imagine you are crossing a square, and there's this guy in the middle of the square, and he's looking upward, and he's pointing toward whatever is there in the sky. Now, what is going to happen to all the people who are passing by? Where do you think that they will look? What is going to happen to them? What do you think they're going to look? Are they going to look at him, or are they going to look somewhere else. Okay, so exactly. Good. Yeah, so people are going to look at the sky. People are going to look upwards. Good. All right, so I'm just going to point out this single thing. So let's say Joe has his attention not on Bill, but on something else. Then Bill will direct his attention to that same thing. So now what we get is that attention follows attention. Going back to the whole concept of noise, like noise disrupting the whole communication, we now have one of the elements here, just like being there, that produces the noise. Attention simply follows attention. In other words, you cannot really have the certainty that whatever was brought forward was actually copied. Good. So by looking, we actually mean attention. Okay. So the first requirement was to be there. The second requirement is that actually that there is attention for the other person. You could loosely define it as just observation. See what is going on in the person's face. See the indicators. See the smile. See what the eyes are doing. See the nodding. See the eyes nodding, or whatever it is. You want to make sure you have an idea if you actually get that message across. So that is the second requirement. In other words, the example that I just gave was somebody talking to you, and he wasn't looking you in the eye, but actually he was just talking, and he was looking around, and he was sporadically having a look at you. You could see that he wasn't comfortably there, number one. Number two, since he couldn't be comfortably there, he could also not put his attention out and actually look you in the eye. Now, like I said in that booklet, it's a simple booklet. There's some drills in there. Number one, just to simply be there and practice that, and eliminate the bad effects of the mind coming in. The next drill would actually be to look at a person. So now we're going into the staring contest. Now, if you would do such a drill, looking at a person, for the ones who have actually tried it, you could see that, for example, within 10-20 seconds, he actually started to burst out in laughing. And the funny thing is that you could compare it a little bit to, let's say, a bottle that's filled up with gas. Once you do the drill, you take the lid of the bottle and the gas starts to escape. Now, if you continue the drill and you get more and more comfortable while doing it, more of that gas will actually leave the bottle. It won't come back. In other words, the more you continue, the more stable you become, because the negative impact is actually leaving your system. Now, you're not done when the giggling is over. When you continue the drill, you might actually start to feel a little bit itchy. And you might actually start to feel a bit awkward. That means some discomfort is still in you and still needs to be released. In other words, you need to continue the exercise. Now, the booklet tells you exactly how to do it and how to reach that optimum level of comfort. Good? Just to give you an idea. All right, now, there is a third requirement. And the third requirement is actually to get your intention across. So, what is intention? Intention is simply what you want to happen. That's all it is. Simply what you want to happen. Okay, so let's say you're an adult, you're a mom, you're a dad, and you have a little child. But the child is quite mischievous. It's quite naughty. He's doing things that he shouldn't be doing. All right, now, you've probably seen these type of situations. Have you ever seen these parents going at their kids like, "Oh, Jimmy, no, don't do that. Oh, please, Jimmy, I told you, can you not do that, please? Oh, now you're doing it again." Have you ever seen these kind of situations where the parent was completely out of control and the child was more controlling the parent than the parent was controlling the child? Have you ever seen that? Can you pop something in the chat? We just had a little break on Zoom. Okay, Anita, yeah, so often. All right, so if you've ever seen that, what was your thought about that parent? What was your opinion of that parent? What did you think about him or her? Did you think about him as being strong or being weak? Or did you have a certain opinion about this person? What did you think? Ah, exactly. No control over their child. Right. What it tells you was their intention is the intention that is what you want to happen was not strong. Now, that parent, first of all, wasn't there, not in the definition that we mean, was not really at cause, because was probably more in his own mind than actually being here. I had some considerations. I shouldn't be rough on children. Well, I guess you shouldn't be. That's all right. But the being there was out. The looking, making the eye contact with the child was out. The intention, what the parent wanted to have happen, did not get to come across. Make sense? Okay, so let me give you another example. Let's say you have a robbery going on. You have a robbery going on, and the policeman just walks in, and he sees the robbery in progress, and he takes his gun, but he's like a little bit like, uh-oh, this could go wrong. And he says, "Well, Mr. Robber, could you please not do that? Hands up, please." What do you think is going to happen to that whole scenery? Well, you would once know that cop couldn't really be there and actually confront the robber be in the same space as the rubber. The eye contact was out. We couldn't check if actually the message really got across. The intention was very weak. It should have been something like this. Stop! Or whatever. Just to make an idea, what, like, right away get the intention across. Be there, make the eye contact, and get the intention across. Does that make sense? Yes, it does. Okay, well, thank you very much. Okay, right. So here we actually have the factors which are involved in communication. First of all, be there. Number 2, attention. Number 3, intention. So, what does that have to do with being assertive? What does it have to do with saying no? Well, you probably have the answer right now, right? Because if you are not really assertive, then you could probably tell right now, hey, I'm not really comfortable in that person's presence. You could also say that person actually kind of like triggers me. It triggers my buttons. Something happens in my mind and I start to feel a bit shaky, a bit uncertain. Now, if you would go and do the drills, you would actually raise that ability to be there in whoever else's space, be there more comfortably. So that would raise the level of being assertive. Now, of course, to be assertive, to say no, or to say yes when you have to say yes, or to say, I changed my mind. Yes, yesterday I said I wanted to go for a picnic, but I changed my mind. Today I don't want to go for a picnic because I don't like the weather. And you're totally okay to change your mind. That is actually allowed. Now, somebody might tell you, yeah, but you gave me your word yesterday. Yeah, well, you can always change your mind. That doesn't mean you have to be a slave of your own decisions, right? Otherwise, somebody could come back to you 1,000 years after and say, well, you made that promise. You were going to do a picnic with me. That wouldn't work. You have the ability to say no. But you can comfortably do that if you could comfortably be there. And once you can, you will notice that these mis-emotions like fear, feeling a little bit annoyed, irritated, upset, that these have a tendency to ebb away from you. And the drills will strongly help you with that. So then when you can be there, when you actually make the eye contact, and when it can be pleasant, and you can have the mutual respect, you can comfortably get your intention across and say, no, I can't do that. Now, of course, you have to try, right? The proof of the pudding is in the eating, as we say, right? So you can only find out by trying. Good. Now, sometimes you may actually be involved in a, let's say, in certain relationships. You might be with a person that might not be very trustworthy, or you might be with a person who gets upset when you change your mind, or with a person who gets upset when you don't give the right answer for them. Well, what do you do in that situation? What do you do if, whenever you change your mind, it always leads to an upset? Or whenever you give an answer that they don't like, it always leads to an upset. Well, you could basically say there's three types of people. There's people who help. There's people who dominate. Which is simply, you do as I say, or else. Or else I get mad. Or else I won't talk to you. Or else I will no longer be your friend. In other words, do as I say, or there will be consequences. That is domination. And you have people who also nullify. Who simply make nothing out of your ideas, make nothing out of you. You're always wrong. You can't be right. And who will try to prove you wrong. And at the same time trying to convince you they're proving you wrong because it's for your own good. So you don't want to be with these categories. You want to actually be in communication with people who are happy for you when you are happy, who are happy for you when you have something positive going on in your life. Now, if you want to know actually who you can really trust, who you should be associating with, I have another tip for you tonight. That's actually this book. It's called Scientology. It's quite a buzzword. It's called A New Slant on Life, a new look on life. It is a manual for life. Just like you would have a, well, let's say you want to fix a car, you want to fix an engine. Well, if you don't know anything about engines, well, what are you going to do? You will not be able to fix an engine. You need a manual. And if you have a manual for fixing that engine, you are then able to actually fix it. Now, the reason that we're stumbling in life, making big mistakes, go flat on our faces, hurt ourselves, get upset, and we're on a downward trending spiral, life just gets worse and worse, is simply because we are lacking the manual. We're lacking the manual, right? What does that mean? Well, we need a tool to know who we can trust. You'll find that in here. It's actually a very adequate tool. You'll find out exactly by observing certain characteristics who you can trust, who you should associate with, and with whom you shouldn't. Now, obviously, about communication itself, there is more to communication than what I just explained. What you want to be able to do is raise understanding between you and anybody. And you'll find that tool in the book. There's also more tools. I went in the beginning of the webinar with a person going into his mind and having all kinds of negative thoughts about himself, holding himself back. Well, what causes that to happen? What makes you so insecure? You'll actually find the answer in the manual. Good. That is my recommendation for you tonight. We're actually getting very, very close to 9 o'clock. But it is a frequently used book that I use. It contains about 15 different chapters. The ones that I just mentioned. There's a lot that you can get out of it, an awful lot. You got an index in the back, making it very easy to read. It's got a chapter, for example, on raising your level of consciousness. We've got a chapter here on the antisocial personality. It's got amazing stuff. So the book is actually the highlight of tonight. It is 17 euros. But since we're actually talking about how to be more assertive, how to learn to say no, how to be a top-notch communicator, in other words, these two things, they go together fantastically. And we've decided to do both of them for 17 euros, including shipping. Now, that is not for everybody. That is actually for people who do want to change. That's for people who do want to have a better life. For people who say, you know, there is something more inside of me that I could untap. Some more power, some more capacity that I'm not using that I would like to untap. For those people who want to untap their potential, that is for you guys. All right, now, since we are approaching almost 9, Dita is going to put the link in there for you. And that link gives you the special offer, which is going to be available for the next half hour. I'm going to allow you to have a look if you want. I'm inviting you to have a look. I'm going to have a sip of tea. I have my special ginger tea with cloves, cayenne pepper, and honey. Very, very tasty. D, okay, I didn't see you. I didn't see you arriving. Nice to have you, D. It's not the first time that you're here, is it? Or am I mistaken? Is it the first time? I think you've been here before, yeah? Anyway, thank you for your comment. It's great. So, guys, any questions at this point? I can still linger around a little bit. Maybe you actually have questions. Like, okay, maybe you're trying to get another viewpoint on the whole thing. Maybe there's something specific that you want to have a look at. Any questions at this point? Feel free to pop something in the chat. On the other hand, you know, since this is like very, very public, maybe you got a bit more burning but personal question, and maybe you say, well, you know what, I would like to have a personal touch to the whole thing. Can we have a chat? Can we have a talk? Can we have an email exchange? Can we do a phone talk? Whatever. Is there anybody that would say, yeah, Erik, I would like to have a chat with you? Okay, Anita, I just wanted to say thank you again, Erik, for another insightful session. All right, Anita, that's great. Thank you so much. Happy to read your comment and seeing that you enjoyed it. Very great. Edith, okay, thank you. My pleasure. It's been a pleasure. Okay, guys, so like I said, the offer still stands for the next half hour. We can ship all over Europe. If you would prefer to read that stuff in a different language, we have it translated in 50. We got it translated in 50 languages. You can just pick your language and you will be able to read it in your mother tongue if you want. Eilish, brilliant talk. Thank you very much. Thank you, Eilish. Okay, guys, so if there's no further questions, we're going to be back again next Tuesday. Gosh, I have no clue what the topic would be, but you guys can tell. You just follow us on Meetup, you follow us on Eventbrite, and you'll see. Might be another communication topic. It might be a topic on the mind. It might be a topic on, I don't know, perhaps who you could trust, how you build better relationships. Perhaps a title like what is holding you back. Let me see. It's already coming up. Okay. Well, how do you relax and enjoy life? Well, you probably know the answer already, right? You simply book a ticket to the Bahamas. Okay, guys. Thank you so much. Have a great rest of your evening. It's been wonderful to have you here tonight. So hope to see you again next week. Bye for now.